We're real fortunate today to have a friend with us, someone who is almost a resident of our area. Family has a place here. She's here a lot. She's been to a number of my events. You've seen her there. She's the chair of the California Democratic Party Women's Caucus. She's an attorney. She's an author. She's put together these incredible campaign boot camps to help teach people how to run for office and be successful once we get there. How many of you saw the new Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, being sworn into office? Well, then you probably saw next to her this woman's daughter, Bella. She was standing right next to her Mimi when she got sworn in. Give a warm Napa Valley welcome to Christine Pelosi, who's here to be with us today. Christine?
Good morning. Good morning, Women's March. Did you notice that when Mike said Speaker Pelosi, the sun came out? You did that. That was really good. Thank you, Mike Thompson. What an excellent, excellent member of Congress you have. As a mom, as Bella's mom, I have to say what an advocate he is for Moms Demand Action and all of us fighting the scourge of gun violence in our communities. Thank you, Mike Thompson, especially for that. Many of us were here together a few months ago in the march that Mike put together with the moms and Giffords and some of the other groups. How many people were there? Some of you. How many people were at the very first Women's March? How many people were at the airports fighting the ban? Thank you, Michael Franti. I see you. How many people were doing the climate march? The tax march? How many people were Get Out the Vote volunteers? This is why we win. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is something that we talk about in the California Democratic Party Women's Caucus all the time. It's about women and power. It's about the fact that legislators, and of course Congress especially, is built on the premise of patriarchy and white supremacy. They're not used to women. They don't want to hear from LGBTQ, Native, African American, Asian American, Muslim American, Latinx women. They're not ready for that. But guess what? They're getting ready because we're ready. And what it means to walk onto the floor of the Congress of the United States and see, as was mentioned, not only the first two Native American women elected ever to the Congress of the United States, but also see people who were people just like some of you, to see Lauren Underwood, the youngest African American woman ever elected to Congress. She went to a town hall meeting where her member of Congress promised to protect the health care of people like her with pre-existing medical conditions. And you know what? He broke his promise. He lied. She ran. Now, she's in Congress and he's at home. When you think about people like Lucy McBath from Georgia, whose son was killed by a racist man who didn't like the music that he was playing in his car at a gas station, or people like Debbie McCoskey Powell from Florida, whose father was killed by gun violence. When you think of the survivors who are bringing their own lived experiences into the room, it absolutely makes a difference. And as some of you may have noticed, my daughter Bella was a little excited. We all had to be in the gallery and we had to behave. So we kind of love that the kids got to jump up and down and they got to express what we were feeling. But what we were feeling was this sense of relief, because at last women could have a critical mass of seats at the table, and not just at the table, but at the head of the table. At the head of the table. So when you think about the members of Congress who are chairing these committees, including some from California, Mike Thompson just mentioned himself, but also Maxine Waters and Adam Schiff from right here in our own state, we're talking about people taking power. And what we're also talking about is a new dialogue. Because as we have often said over the past couple of years, if women were in charge, they would be talking about jobs, not taking away our birth control. If women were in charge, we would be talking about expanding our health care, expanding Medicare to everyone, building on our ACA. We wouldn't be talking about a lawsuit fighting to block the coverage of people with pre-existing conditions. And I want to say something about the shutdown. A majority of those who work in our federal government who are being locked out of these agencies are working class families. These are not people who went into government to get rich. These are not people who went into government to try to make a profit. They went into government to try to make a difference. 41% of them are veterans, as Mike said, who wore the uniform for this country and now are serving again on the civilian side, with the exception of the Coast Guard, who's also not getting paid, even though they put their lives on the line for us. So I think it's really important that we understand where we are in this moment of time, because we're not just defending women's rights, and we are, we're defending the right of the role of government in our lives. They want the government shut down because they do not believe in government. And the longer we go without government, they think we're not going to miss it. As if we're not going to miss food inspections. We're not going to miss public health doctors. They think we're not going to miss the Coast Guard. They're not going to miss people at TSA. Think of the people you know and the public service that they give, and then ask yourself the same question that we are asking each and every day. Donald Trump wanted to shut down the government to prove that he could break it, but he doesn't understand that the government is the people, and we're not going to let him break us, are we? The last thing I want to just mention to you as I bring you greetings from Speaker Pelosi, with whom I'll be marching this afternoon, home in San Francisco, is this. As she always said to us, remember where we were a couple years ago? We were in shock. We were in dismay. But we knew that if we believed in ourselves and we believed in each other and we put some of our differences aside and came together for the common good, we knew we could make this happen. We knew that there was a spark inside of all of us, and we knew that if we built these intersectional coalitions together and that we honored people from all of our communities, that we could make a difference. We also knew that, and I'm just going to say this as a white lady, we needed to step back and bring other people forward to the microphone. Dreamers who said it's our dream too. Young people who were saying Black Lives Matter. Trans people who were saying trans rights are human rights. Native people who said, we've got ours. Finally, Sharice going to the Congress and Deb going to the Congress. So what I urge us all to do as we fight for the future is remember to the same coalitions that got us here are the ones that are going to actually get us the policies that we need. So keep speaking out when you have a voice, stepping back if you can share a microphone and lift up the voice of somebody else. And if you center the policies around the people that are most affected, it will ripple out to everybody else. Because you know what? There's no such thing as trickle-down economics or trickle-down democracy. It all builds from the ground up, and it all builds from you. So thank you all for all you've done.